We covered a lot of water this week, got a lot of these and one of these. But the real story is that there are some places you don't want to go and that the post-spawn bite is on. The post-spawn feed is on. It was confirmed many ways, but here, Don was able to pull a better smallie out of an aggressive school of smaller post-spawn feeding males. It would have been easier to go a couple of miles, sit on some schools of big smallies, and wow everyone with big catches. However, the combat bass fishing method is to cover water and report back as much relevant information as possible. After 2 days and 90 miles of travel in Lake St. Clair, we now know this. A surprise, but not surprise spot for big smallies. The discovery that the mayfly bite is still happening. Confirmation that the post-spawn feed is on. Summer bite patterns are emerging. And I have eliminated big stretches of unproductive water for this weekend. Welcome to Pre-Fishing Central. Here are my key takeaways for this week. Wide-ranging areas are out. They are a huge time investment with little return. Spots are in. Better yet, having a collection of structure elements to run to is best. This includes small flats, isolated weed patches, isolated rock piles, unique elements carved out by current, man-made obstructions, isolated breaks with cabbage. If you find one type that's working for you, stick with it. The bass are. Here's our track day one. The idea was to work deep water and see if we could connect with a post-spawn feeding pattern. We found a post-spawn feed at the plateau and a sure sign the summer bite is developing. Don was able to upgrade our catch. After exploring the north dumping grounds, we moved over to the mid-lake humps and found this active fish, plus one that followed Don's bait up to the boat in 12 feet of water. I can't speak to size, but the action was there. We were close, so we jetted over to Askin's Point and struck out in 9 to 12 feet of water. Going in shallower didn't help at all. There was a massive algae bloom in progress that wasted the shallows from about 7 feet in. We found a post-spawn feeding school of average smallies on the flats at Grosse Point shores, then headed home. On day 2, Ken and I made the long run to Mitchell's Bay and hit spots along the way. Here's what we found at the Horseshoe. We spent a fair amount of time here in the Horseshoe, and I had another one on, maybe a little bit bigger than this, but we're not seeing a lot of numbers, and we're not seeing a lot of size. If you found weeds, you found the smallies. They're here in the Horseshoe, but we're used to this time of year, monsters being in here. Water quality is fantastic. Everything looks good. Looking for bigger fish. We're going to head over to Mitchell's Bay and see how we do over there. The break outside the stakes really let us down, but Ken was able to find this smallie on the flats near St. Anne's. We found average smallies around Mitchell's Bay. Here's a bit of local knowledge about Mitchell's Bay. Funny, too. Competitive anglers rarely give out too much information. When they say, "I was fishing Mitchell's Bay," this is what it means. Here's the Mitchell's Bay Marina area. In that same area, you will find a water tower. Here's a photo of the water tower from the water. Yes, you can barely see it. If someone says they fished Mitchell's Bay, they were most likely only in sight of the water tower. On the way back, we caught numbers near the shipping channel where weed beds are developing nicely. As the winds died down in the 98-degree heat, we also happened on this mayfly slick. Smallies started surfacing and we could see everything they were doing in water that was clear to 10 feet. Notice this mayfly slick isn't heavy. There were fresh mayflies in it. One way you can find these slicks are to watch for seagulls sitting on the water in the middle of nowhere. Finally, we hit on bigger fish. The stunted weed growth this season is making the Firecracker a better bet. Ken voted our last fish and best fish of the day here. If you watch this fishing report and the last, you will have a good read on the smallmouth action on Lake St. Clair. Still, the post-spawn can be pretty frustrating at times, but the best is yet to come. A full-on summer bite is almost here. God bless and good fishing.